I've got 20 minutes to take you through 8,000 years of wine history, so buckle your seatbelts. This talk began 3 years ago when I was sitting out on the porch with Bill and Aaron, and Bill said, you should give that talk at Bonnie's in a little more extended form. And Aaron said, yeah, it'd be great. You know, we could reach a lot of people who care about plants in Napa, but you have to keep it to 20 minutes. She said, do you think you can teach wine history in 20 minutes? I said, I can do it in 2 sentences. As an ethnobotanist, I'm fascinated, obsessed with the relationship between people and plants. Next. And talking about plants, talking about hidden plants in the Amazon, talking about wine in Napa is a celebration of biological diversity. If you remember one thing about my talk tonight, it's this. There's 1,386 varieties of wine grape that have been used to make wine, and we are producing wine from 20 of those today. 80% of the world's wine comes from 20 varieties of over 13,000. So to celebrate biological diversity means protecting and celebrating those other species, those other flavors, those other varietals. Next. The 2 sentences I can teach wine history with. Thucydides, the great Greek historian, said, the Mediterranean began to emerge from barbarism. You can hear that word again. Emerge from barbarism when they learned to cultivate the olive and the vine. That's sentence 1. Jump forward 2,000 years, and you can quote William Faulkner. Civilization began next with distillation. That's wine history in a bottle. Next. So Horace, my favorite poet of ancient Rome, summed up why wine is so important in our life when he said, wine brings to light the hidden secrets of the soul. And he paraphrased himself, next, when he said, no poem was ever written by a drinker of water. This is what most people think of when they think of where wine history began, where wine culture began, the ancient Greeks and the Romans. Nothing could be further from the truth. And I was talking about this to my friend Jane Goodall, who's on the Amazon Conservation Team Advisory Committee, next. And she said, wine didn't even begin with people. It began with animals. Chimps love to get snockered. There are many animals in Africa that seek out the marullo fruit, next, to catch a buzz. Because wine invents itself. Unlike beer, grapes will produce wine. They produce alcohol with the yeast on their skins. And to prove that animals get drunk, I spent a lot of time on YouTube and show you the proof of animals eating marullo fruit that's been fermented. Next.
That's so much better now.
So he's looking into his vulnerability, saying, I think I'm getting woolly mammoth notes. The fact is that wine has created human culture. And the archaeological record brings us back between 8,000 and 10,000 years. Next. Again, we tend to think of the origin as Greece and Rome, but actually the origin of wine culture is in the Transcaucasus, right on the east of the Black Sea. Next. So I want you to look at these 4 countries because they're key. Georgia, Armenia, Iran, which is really Persia, and Turkey. Next. This is where it begins. Georgia, 8,000 years ago. These are Kaveri. You know where I took this picture? This is the Delgado. Next. The Georgians buried these vats, they filled them not only with the grapes, but with the skins, with the seeds, and with the stems. And they still do it exactly the same way. Next. So I was trying to figure out why did wine culture begin in the Caucasus? And so I put this list together and I showed it to the World Authority on Georgian Wine, a fellow named Mamuka Tsareli, who lives in Washington, and says it's part of the home range of the wine grape. It's a crossroads of many culture, easy access to 2 seas, the Black Sea on one side, the Caspian on the other, cultural diversity, better climate than the hot deserts to the south, better soils than Greece, and he said, you left out the most important reason. Next. Didn't roll up. Georgians love to drink. The oldest winery known is a mini cave across the border in Armenia. This cave has a wine press that's 6,000 years old.
Wow.
Next. And this is from the side of Persepolis. The king's castle in Persepolis shows this procession of the Armenians bringing their wine to pay homage to the Persian king. Next. And if you go into the Armenian quarter, remember Armenia was the first country in Europe that adopted Christianity as their national religion. You see this mosaic on the floor. Here's wine culture from thousands of years ago. Next. So why is wine so valuable, aside from what Horace said about it as an inspiration? It's a medicine. If you read the Odyssey and the Iliad, it's the #1 medicine.